Ever feel like you're wandering through life without a compass, making decisions but never quite sure if they're right? Turns out, this feeling of being lost isn't just modern anxiety. Carl Jung, one of psychology's greatest minds, believed it's actually a signal that you're ready for the most important journey of your life. If you keep ignoring this feeling of being lost, you'll miss the exact roadmap your psyche is trying to show you. According to Jung, that sense of confusion isn't your enemy. It's your mind's way of pushing you toward your true path. Think of your mind like an ancient city with hidden passages and secret rooms. Most of us stay on the main streets, rushing through our daily routines. We chase goals society told us to want, the perfect job, relationship, or lifestyle. But deep down, something feels off. That's because we're only living in the surface level of our minds. Jung discovered something fascinating. When you feel lost, it's often because your deeper mind, what he called the unconscious, is trying to get your attention. It's like having a built-in GPS that's desperately trying to recalculate your route, but you keep ignoring it because you're too focused on following someone else's direction. Picture your mind as a massive iceberg. The tiny tip above water is your conscious thoughts, your daily worries, plans, and decisions. But the huge mass hidden underwater, that's your unconscious mind, and it knows exactly where you need to go. When you feel lost, it's because these two parts aren't talking to each other. This isn't just theory. Jung saw it play out with hundreds of patients, people who seemed successful on paper, but felt empty inside. High achievers who couldn't shake the feeling they were on the wrong path. Creative souls stuck in corporate jobs, wondering why nothing felt right. In each case, that lost feeling was actually the first sign their life was about to change in amazing ways. But here's the real kicker. Jung found that feeling lost isn't a malfunction. It's actually a built-in feature of your psyche, designed to kick in when you're ready for real growth. It's like your mind's way of saying, hey, you've outgrown your old map. Time to explore new territory. This explains why the feeling often hits hardest when life looks perfect on paper. Your unconscious doesn't care about society's definition of success. It has its own compass, pointing toward what Jung called individuation, becoming who you truly are, not who you think you should be. When Jung talked about the shadow, he wasn't just being poetic. He discovered that feeling lost often happens because we're running from parts of ourselves we don't want to face. Think about it. Maybe you're stuck in a job you hate because you're afraid of what people will think if you follow your real passion. Or you're in a relationship that looks perfect on Instagram but feels empty inside. Your shadow's everything you've pushed away because it doesn't fit the image you're trying to maintain. It's the creative dreams you abandon to be practical, the anger you hide because you want to be seen as nice, the boldness you suppress because you're scared of standing out. Here's what's wild. Jung found that the more you try to run from your shadow, the more lost you. It's like trying to navigate through life with half a map. You might think you're heading in the right direction, but something always feels off. Take Sarah, one of Jung's patients. She was a successful banker who did everything right. Fancy degree, big salary, perfect wardrobe. But she felt completely lost. Through working with Jung, she discovered her shadow contained a wild, artistic side she'd been squashing since childhood. Every time she ignored her urge to create, her feeling of being lost grew stronger. Your shadow shows up in unexpected ways. Ever met someone who triggered intense negative emotions in you for no clear reason? Jung would say they're probably showing you a part of your shadow. The colleague whose confidence makes you unreasonably angry might be reflecting the confidence you've denied in yourself. The friend whose selfish choices bug you could be showing you where you need to be more self-focused. But here's the good news. The moment you start acknowledging your shadow, that lost feeling begins to shift. It's like finally looking at the whole map instead of just the acceptable parts. Your shadow isn't your enemy. It's the missing piece that makes you whole. Jung discovered something remarkable. The very qualities in your shadow are often exactly what you need to find your way. That anger you suppress, it might be the fuel you need to make important changes. That impractical creativity, it could hold the key to your life's purpose. That selfish side, maybe it's trying to teach you about setting healthy boundaries. Jung found something fascinating about our inner guidance system. We all have both masculine and feminine energies inside us, regardless of our gender. He called the feminine side anima and the masculine side animus. When you feel lost, it's often because these two forces are out of balance. Think of them like two different types of GPS. The animus is like Google Maps, logical, goal-oriented, focused on the quickest route. The anima is more like exploring with no destination, feeling-based, creative, focused on the journey itself. We need both to find our true path. Most of us get stuck because we only listen to one voice. Maybe you're all about hustle culture, always chasing the next achievement, but feeling empty inside. That's your animus drowning out your anima's need for meaning and connection. Or maybe you're great at relationships and feelings, but struggle to take action and make concrete plans. That's your anima overshadowing your animus. Jung saw this play out with a patient named Michael. He was crushing it in business, but felt completely lost in life. Turns out, he was ignoring his anima, his need for deep connections, creativity, and emotional expression. Every time he pushed aside these soft needs to focus on hard success, his sense of direction got weaker. The key isn't choosing one over the other. It's learning to use both. Your animus helps you set goals and take action. Your anima helps you make sure those goals actually matter to you. When they work together, that's when the magic happens. You start making decisions that feel right on both a practical and soul level. This explains why sometimes the most successful people feel the most lost. They've developed one energy while completely neglecting. It's like trying to navigate with only half your senses. We're all walking around with a mental movie projector, casting our fears and desires onto everyone around us. Jung found that when you feel lost, you're often projecting your inner compass onto others. You see that friend who seems to have it all figured out? You're probably projecting your own buried sense of direction. Here's what made Jung's discovery so powerful. These projections actually show us the way forward. That coworker whose confident career moves make you jealous, you're not really envious of. You're recognizing your own untapped potential for bold decision. The artist friend whose free spirit bothers you, they're showing you the authentic path you're afraid to take. Jung worked with a writer named Anna, who felt hopelessly lost after seeing her friend's success. She'd say things like, "Sarah always knows exactly what she wants," or "Sarah never doubts herself." Through Jung's work, Anna realized she wasn't seeing the real Sarah. She was projecting her own buried sense of direction onto her. The more she learned to recognize these projections, the clearer her own path became. But here's the tricky part. Projections feel completely real. You'd swear that other person really does have it all figured out while you're stumbling in the dark. Jung found that the stronger your emotional reaction to someone, the more likely it's a projection. That's why social media can make us feel so lost. We're swimming in a sea of projection. The solution isn't to stop projecting. It's to use your projections as clues. Every time you find yourself thinking, "They've got it all figured out," ask yourself what quality you're really recognizing in yourself. Your projections are like road signs, pointing the way back to your own inner wisdom. Ever thought of someone right before they called? Or kept seeing the same number everywhere during a major life decision? Jung discovered these weren't just coincidences. He called them synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that act as signposts when you're feeling lost. Think of synchronicity like your unconscious mind, arranging little meetings between your inner world and outer reality. Jung found that when you're off track, these signs start popping up everywhere. It's like your deeper self using the world as its messenger service. One of Jung's most famous cases involved a woman stuck in logical thinking who couldn't find her way forward. During therapy, she described a dream about a golden scarab beetle. Right then, Jung heard a tapping on his window. It was an extremely rare gold-green beetle, almost identical to the one from her dream. This moment broke through her stuck thinking and changed her whole path. But here's what makes synchronicity different from just seeing patterns. It's about meaning, not chance. When you feel lost, your unconscious becomes hyper-aware of anything that might help guide you. That's why you might keep meeting people with your dream job right when you're questioning your career, or stumble upon exactly the right book when you're struggling with a decision. Jung noticed something crucial. Synchronicities cluster around major life transitions. When you're about to find your true direction, reality starts sending you hints. That person you randomly meet who opens the right door, that conversation you overhear that answers your exact question, they're like cosmic breadcrumbs leading you home. Got all these big ideas from Jung, but what do you actually do with them? Here's the 3-step path he developed to help people find their way when they're lost. First, start noticing your reaction. When something makes you unusually emotional, good or bad, write it down. Jung found these strong reactions are like coordinates on your personal map. That person who really gets under your skin, that random hobby you can't stop thinking about, these aren't random, they're clues. Second, pay attention to your dreams and random thoughts. Jung discovered that when you're lost, your unconscious sends messages through symbols and patterns. Keep a dream journal, but don't get hung up on dream dictionary. The real meaning is personal. That recurring dream about missing a train, Maybe it's showing you what opportunities you're afraid of missing in real life. Third, take small actions based on what you discover. Jung emphasized baby steps over big leaps. Notice you keep admiring entrepreneurs? Don't quit your job. Start a tiny side project first. Feel drawn to painting? You don't need art school. Grab some basic supplies and experiment. Each small action is like dropping a pebble in water. The ripples will show you where to go next. Jung saw this work with countless patients. One businessman started by just admitting he was unhappy, then began sketching during lunch breaks. Within a year, these tiny steps led him to his true path, combining business skills with creative work. The key wasn't making huge changes. It was finally listening to his inner GPS. Remember, feeling lost isn't a problem to fix. It's the first step to finding yourself. These steps aren't about reaching a destination. They're about learning to trust your inner compass again. That lost feeling you've been trying to shake? It's actually your personal GPS recalibrating. Jung discovered that feeling directionless often hits right before your biggest breakthrough. It's your unconscious mind's way of saying, hey, it's time for an upgrade. Think about it. A GPS only recalculates when you're off your planned route. Same with your mind. That lost feeling isn't a malfunction. It's a signal that you're ready to find a better path. Not someone else's path, not society's path, but yours. Remember, Jung found that people who never feel lost are often the most lost of all. They're so focused on following their preset route that they miss all the signs pointing to their true direction. Your confusion is actually your compass. It's showing you where to dig deeper. So next time that lost feeling creeps in, don't rush to get rid of it. Get curious about it. Your shadow, your inner masculine and feminine energies, your projections and those meaningful coincidences, they're all part of your mind's navigations. You're not really lost. You're just ready to be found.